WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have something called Ballechin. So I have two bottles, but I'm going to start off with this one. This is a German release. Sorry, I am in Germany. This is from Signatory Vintage. It's a small batch edition number 10 in cooperation with Kirsch Import here in Germany. What they did is they have a 10-year-old Ballechin. So they have two first fill sherry butts, 188 and 191. And they have two first fill bourbon barrels, 319 and 321, and they vat or marry them all together, and ta-da, they get a whiskey that is 48.1% ABV, costs about 60 euros over here, and has Whiskybase number 174353. So on the back of the bottle, they actually have the dates when it was distilled. So the first sherry butt was actually distilled on the 8th of August 2010. The second sherry butt was distilled on the 11th of August 2010. And so in Whiskybase, that is the date of distillation, which is, in my opinion, wrong. Because if you have something, and I'll show it in a second, it's always the youngest whiskey which determines what the date is of the whiskey. And that would have been the two bourbon barrels, which were both distilled on the 15th of October 2010. So that should have been the real date. So I would say this bottle was actually distilled, the youngest whiskey in it, on the 15th of October 2010, and it was actually bottled on the 7th of December 2020. All right, excellent. So I have a second one. So what's happening is basically my YouTube channel is, and I'm sorry to say this, basically a documentation of my whiskey journey. So a good 5 years ago, I started becoming interested in whiskey, and I decided, hey, since I am a teacher, I teach English as a second language over here, believe it or not, I'm going to actually learn by teaching others something about whiskey. So yes, there's something in my glass, but it was from my German video. And so I decided to just document my learning process. I learned by teaching others, so I'm learning, and maybe you're learning as well with me. And I'm going to do this. And I found out fairly quickly that I'm not a great fan, at least the beginning I was not, of peated whiskeys. Now, 5 years later, 2,500 videos in German later, 800 different English-speaking videos, I have found out that I slowly but surely like the peated whiskeys. And so I'm trying different distilleries to find out what's going on. And so I decided to go for two Ballechin, Ballechin or Ballechin, whatever you want to say. Now this is an official distillery bottling. This is a double malt, double cask. Why? Because it was actually distilled. And that's the interesting thing. It says here, it was an ex-sherry cask matured from 2011. And then we have here our three Ballechin bourbon casks, which were all from 2010. So we have juice from 2010 and 2011. And of course, the right date on this is a whiskey from 2011 to 2022. So it's 8 years old. It could have been 9, but it's only 8. So we had one sherry cask, that was the number 486. And we had three Ballechin bourbon barrels, which were 317. We had the 320 and the 324. So here we have 317, here we have 319, here we have 320, here we have 321, and we have 324 at that as well. I just did it the wrong way. All right, so so here we have the 319, here we have the 317 and the 320, and here we have the 321, and then here we have the 324. Yay, got it right. Now I'm going to pull out my very smart book here to talk a tiny little bit about Edradour, the distillery, because I was, when I started my whiskey journey 5 years ago, on the bottles of Edradour, I had the 10 and the 12 and so on, it said the smallest distillery of Scotland, which of course is no longer true. One, because there are other smaller distilleries, and two, because they basically have added a second identical or more or less identical distillery on the property. So it says here, 4 years of expansion and refurbishing at Edradour have now come to end. The major tasks during these years have been to build Edradour number 2, an entirely new distillery next to the existing one. All right, very, very good. So what we have here basically is the plan for 2020 is to do 5 mashes per week at each distillery because they each have their own mash tun. And with 3 short of 48 hours of a mash, which is fairly short, and 2 long with 96 hours. And this will equate to about 200,000 liters of alcohol during 2020. That was before COVID, who knows? All right, now due to rapidly, and this is the interesting thing for me, increasing demand for the unpeated Edradour, the amount of peated production has diminished in the last couple of years, with only around 13,000 of the 200,000 liters actually being peated and distilled each year. So peated production now only takes place in the old distillery. All right, very, very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to try them, we're going to nose them, we're going to test them, and we're going to give actually my review, my evaluation. So I'm going to start off with the distillery bottling over here. So this is double cask, double matured. There is a lot of a chocolatey note in here. The ash is more of a chocolate moment. I do get a type of sour, like grapes that have spoiled, that have started to ferment themselves. And I get a tiny little bit of a sour. It's been a long time since I've gotten this note from a whiskey, a sauerkraut. There's a German whiskey, Sleers, where I also get the sauerkraut moment, that lactose acid and so on. It's faint, but it was there for me. The peat is tamed through the mixing of the unpeated and the peated together. On paper, this looks fantastic. On the nose, I'm not really sure. Over here, 1 sherry cask, heavily peated, 3 bourbon barrels, heavily peated, mixed up together. So let's try these. Oh, I like more of a woodiness. The peat, the heavily ash peat, is more intensive. There's a vanilla wrapped around that ashy peatiness. And there's a little bit of a goodness of a strawberry, but a dark, like strawberry chocolate. For some reason, I really like this. I get a grape note as well, but the grape note is not spoiled, fermented, bad. Like here, it's still okay. A little bit of grape cough syrup. If you've ever been to the States as a kid, you got grape cough syrup. It's a tiny, tiny smidgen of that in there. This is Whiskybase 174153. This is Whiskybase number 174153. So very, very similar. This is 48.1%. This is 46%. This is basically 60 euros. This is basically 52 euros. So a little bit cheaper over here. All right, good. Let's try, okay, let's go to the original bottling first. Do not like that sour grape, and not sour grape, but actually spoiled grape note. Something really just doesn't do it for me. There's a nice milk chocolate underneath it, but there's something off. I'm going to use the word off. Interesting that I get a lot of burn, then it dissipates again. And the whole time I get a sour grape cough syrup moment with even a sour lemon thrown in there. The word sour, did I say the word sour a few times? Yes. There's goodness in here, but it's absolutely overtaken by that bad off note, in my personal opinion. It's a real cork. Nothing wrong going on there. Here we actually have a compound. No, we have a real cork as well. All right. There's a good milk chocolatey moment, and the ashy peatiness of this is somewhat diluted down on purpose with the goodness of that sherry Edradour unpeated whiskey together. If it were not for those moments of sourness that really turn me off, this could be a very, very good whiskey. But it's not. It's a D plus in my book, C minus minus. Just not doing, it's not something like I want to go back and try again. It was like something, oh, that was, no, thank you, next. It's like, nope, not going there. All right, going over here to this one, though. Let's cleanse the palate. This could be available in your country. I don't know what the distribution looks like. But if I look at one, sorry, what was it here? Two, am I reading the right one? No, I'm not reading the right one. One sherry, my text for this one is there, and my text for this one is there. That's wrong. All right, over here we have one sherry butt and 3 bourbon barrels. So 500 liters plus 600 liters, 11,000 liters. So you're talking about 1,800 bottles that are worldwide available. Not very many. Here we had 2,220, and it was just for Germany. So we'll have to see if you can actually find the double malt, double cask. I would go to something else in my personal opinion. I'm sure there's other things out there from Ballechin that are better. Okay, next. There's a tiny little bit too much ash at the end for me. Other people are going to go, fantastic, exactly what I want, exactly what I love. The vanilla together with the chocolate, together with the orange peel, together with that red brightness of the strawberry plum of the sherry, together with the perfect combination of age. I don't know, perfect. A very good combination of the age together with the ABV all makes a whiskey that's nice. And at the end, that peatiness just kicks in and really just a little bit like a turbo at the end. Very well done. I personally enjoy this a lot. This is going to get a C plus from me. Value for money, I think 60 some euros. Anywhere between 60 and 65 euros over here in Germany is a little bit too much for this. So I'm going to, it's a C plus on the taste. It's a C minus for value for money. What I really find disappointing now, this is the original Distillery Bottling. It's 52 euros. This is an independent bottler, and this is 62 euros basically. All right, so it's 10 euros more, over almost 15% more for the independent bottler, which is unfortunately typical today. You're going to get more of the better bargains if you can find a bottle from the distillery and it's available than with an independent bottler, because they're paying through the nose for the prices they have to pay for the casks, and they need to make their money as well. All right, my question of the day is, what is your favorite Ballechin? I gave this a D plus and a value basically of a, I'm going to give it a C minus minus for value for money, or D also as well. Not something I prefer. There is a lot of potential, but it just didn't cut it with this particular bottle. There's something off on this bottle for me. Did not like it. There's that sour moment, that sauerkraut moment over here. It was very, very well constructed, very, very well presented, very, very well. Just the entire, although the alcohol was just fair, wonderfully integrated there. All right, what's your favorite Ballechin? And yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, sharing, telling others about this crazy guy over here in Germany, documenting his trip into the whiskey world, learning by telling you what he has learned in the meanwhile. And I think it's very fascinating that we might have a shortage of Ballechin in the future, and maybe a oversupply of Edradour, my words. All the best. See you soon. Whiskey Jason. Bye-bye.